everybody, and welcome to my first Wednesday episode. Today, I have three of my wonderful friends joining me from the Bitter Luck. All three of them are Knights of Caid, and I'm stoked to have them all on. Let's start with Parmenio.
Oh, okay. So my name is Parmenio Bassarion. My first event in the SCA was Potrero 2011. I was knighted at Great Western War 2018. That's a super quick rundown.
All right, that's all you've done, huh?
Oh, yeah. Primarily did war fighting for many years, eventually switched over to tournament fighting because that was the best way to get better at what I enjoyed, which was war fighting, and now it sucks because I like both, and now I have to go to everything.
Here we go.
My name is Alsander Bardon. My first event was the same as Parmenio. We had our first event together, 2011 Potrero War. I was knighted at 2019 Potrero War. I was the last one in this group of three knights to be knighted.
Baby.
Yeah, I'm the baby. And I love doing a lot of war fighting, love doing a lot of tourney fighting. And in 2017, which was AS51, I won the Unbelted tournament.
There we go. Gotta get that in early.
Yo.
Gotta get it in early.
Yep.
All right, that's to you, Tiberius.
Cool. I joined the SCA in 2008, and now it's 2020. No.
Fair.
No, let's see. I joined in 2008. I came in. We were all fringy pirates back in the day, so that was super cool. And then I got involved in all kinds of stuff. I like fighting. I like service. I like hanging out, having a good time. I got knighted at 40 year for Caid. So whenever that was, I think 2 years ago, which was super cool. It was really, really, really hot, and my parents came to it. They drove to Highland War site to go to that. It's pretty neat. So I do that. I just stepped down a little bit ago as from society, social media, and I like fighting.
Fighting is good. Well, now that you guys all have introduced yourself briefly, we will blend that right in to my first question from one of my darling little bird. And they ask, tell me of the long ago days of the early Bitter Luck shenanigans.
I guess I could start since
You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest here. Well, when we first started, we were from days of old and game store. So we kind of all got started from people that knew each other at the game store, which was great. So we used to have rules at war, like no talking about War Machine or D&D, because we just come to war and do that. We had a couple years where that happened, and that was fantastic, but also much different. So we had things like that. We used to have this game where we'd play, and everyone had to bring like the weirdest drink they could.
Ooh.
And we'd pass that around and do all that. And I think the best one, I think Barry won. I think he had the most sequential years where he won. And the best one that he did was that like rum chata avocado thing he had.
Was it the artichoke?
Artichoke. There we go.
Artichoke liqueur, yeah.
Yeah, that was that.
I was roommates with him at the time, and we scoured Bevmo for that.
I was the only one who would keep drinking it.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good at all. Yeah, so we used to do stuff like that, and then it was funny because like Potrero was like the only thing we went to back in the day.
Yeah.
So like it was like we'd go to Pleasure Fair a couple weeks before to make sure we could get some garb and do some things, and then
it's where we got all of our garb.
We got all of our garb, and
I still have those pirate shirts somewhere.
Yeah, right. It's funny because those sandals I ended up buying. Like John has similar ones he uses now for his freak kit. So it's how that all goes down. Yes, we did a lot of stuff like that. We had this really dumb. It was funny because it came up the other day because there's I got my armor back, which is crazy. And my armor back, but on the armor, I don't know if you guys saw the photos or not, but remember the keychain we used to put on my chainmail, and if it was there, it had the bottle opener.
I do.
Yep.
That's on that kit. So like a weird thing, like, yeah.
We definitely started learning to fight from Romani, and like I was a year behind when Parmenio started fighting, and it was, we definitely had a lot of like style from the Romani at the beginning, from what I remember, and it was a big day when they started to not refer to us as Romani anymore when we were
Well,
fighting
the
Iron.
evolution was we were the the sea gypsy pirate friends. Then we were the no money. Then we were the bitter luck boys, and then we were bitter luck. And that was what Valric used to call us, because we'd be on the field at Potrero, and it would just be 3 or 4 guys all wearing green and black, but in the same outfits that Romani was wearing, right? So it'd be the Lamellar and those big TIE fighter shields and stuff like that, which those were crazy. And then we'd all, like, a lot of us went over to Rom's, you know, back in the day, to go make Lamellar and go do that. That was when John learned I could not use power tools.
No, you cannot. That's also the first place that I started making armor, because my first war I saw the fighting, but we didn't really have much to do with it yet. We had a couple people who were just getting into fighting. And after that first day watching those shields smash each other, I was like, well, first thing I'm doing after this war is finding someone to teach me to make armor and making my own suit of armor, which I then did. And I've been wearing armor I made myself ever since.
Yeah, Parmenio ended up working for a couple different armorers over the course of his SCA career so far.
Yeah.
And for a long time, like, he was, like, if we needed armor fixed or stuff like that, like, he'd have the kit to be like, oh yeah, I could make that happen.
He's still kind of the one. If we're like out at an event, he always has the kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bring a little armor repair kit with me.
And
I
then,
don't really have access to a shop anymore.
right. And then for a lot of us, when we got started too with fighting, I know Hammy brought up the Romani stuff, but we also used to go to Pell with Big John.
That's where I met Ranver,
I've
who
still
I
done
eventually squired to, as he helped teach us there also.
Since he was my knight, I've still done that over the years, where we kind of stopped going and hanging out with him as much, but I would make it a point to go to those Pell practices still.
Yeah, and then I think one of the funny things that people don't, like, realize, or they do if they hang out with us a lot, but, like, we're not just a fighting band. Like, we're a household, right? So, like, we've got all, like, our whole own little culture back at camp, right? So we've got people that I think one of the cool things that we do as a household is we have our Potrero arts competition.
Yeah.
Right, Hammy?
Yeah, that was we had a lot of people who were doing the fighting, and everyone was like trying to support that, but then there were some other people who were like doing arts that weren't like being recognized for it. And so I kind of brought up like, hey, we should just do something to show off for this, and I bought like a prize for everyone and a way for people to, like, I think we had beads so you could vote on which one you wanted. And we just kind of started, you know, being like, hey, did you make art this year? Show it off. Let's see what we can do. And I think the first year it was just like a bottle of vodka as it. And then it evolved, and now we have like a relic that you pass around. It's that squeeze box that Ross found that he could never get.
So that wasn't just a thing that Ross found. That was old school bitter luck stuff, where we used to meet at Amy's place, and we used to sing pirate songs.
Oh yeah.
And we'd sing like Billy Bones, and we'd gather and all the pirate stuff. And so Travis took crew funds, and he wanted to, he's like, oh, we could get a squeeze box. And I'm like, I could play that thing, which I could, but the problem is that it was old and crappy, not like a new used one. So like every time you pressed it, it would break and do all kinds of things. So having it be a relic is much better than having it be playable.
Yeah.
So that was a crew fund purchase. So yeah.
That's incredible. I didn't realize that you guys had started in Romani, because I met you.
Well, we didn't start in Romani, but we got a lot of our help from Romani.
Of course. Well,
They
that's
camped next to us,
Yeah,
so
we were strongly Romani adjacent. We
Rom-
camped next to Romani, and we got a lot of help early on fighting from Romani, and we used to just hang out with Romani and drink with Romani.
And go to
We
the
were
parties.
always that
Yep.
camp next to them.
I'm a Black Rune. I know what it's like. So it's
Yeah, you totally do.
So on that note, I'm going to actually ask you about where most of you guys started, about Potrero. What are each of your favorite and least favorite Potrero war memories? Starting with Sir Parmenio.
Okay, I have some interesting memories. One of my favorite memories that stuck with me the whole time is that when I already mentioned that first war I was at, I heard the smash of shields for the first time. It was one of those things like I had just recently graduated from college. I had a degree in Roman history, and the Greeks always talked about smashing of shields, and it's supposed to be this big noise that like inspired everyone and pushed everyone. It was this huge thing that they talk about all the time. And I was like, oh, yeah, it was a cool thing. And then from my camp, I heard it happen on the battlefield. And I just heard it and I just walked in that direction. And just hearing that sound, then wandering over and finding my people, that's one of my favorite memories. Same exact day, a few hours earlier, was one of my most shameful memories from Potrero that my wife likes to bring up, when I was so drunk at like 11:30 a.m. that I was wandering down the streets yelling at the sun because I had never been day drunk before in my life. I had never done that. And this was like Saturday, or actually it was probably Friday. It was Friday at my first war, and we were a fringe pirate group. What did we do? We hang out and we drank. And it's like, oh, it's almost noon, and I am plastered. And yeah, I yelled at the sun a lot. Didn't get into any too major of a trouble, but yeah, that was a fun time.
All right, Sir Alsander.
So I could go for an easy one and just being like, oh, I got knighted at Potrero. That's easy. But like, that actually isn't my favorite Potrero memory. I think my favorite Potrero memory was, I think it was Potrero 2015, maybe. They did a battlefield court and they called up our entire unit, and all of us are kneeling there, and then they awarded us the cross swords, which is something that isn't given out very often. And at the time, like, we were just doing it to have fun, and it felt so amazing that like they would award that to us, because we're just a little group of like 20-something-year-old dudes just trying to have a good time war fighting. And we'd been doing
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
swords. Being recognized for that is something that was amazing, and the fact that we take them to like every war now. And if you go and look at our like Griffin Wing, they're there all the time.
So what is the Order of
And
the
then
Cross?
the worst memory. Say that again.
What is the order? What is that award? Like, for people who maybe who are seeing this from out of kingdom and don't know?
It's an award for fighting units that are displaying great honor and skill at being war fighters. It's a specifically like war fighting unit award. And so because that was like the first thing that we were doing in there, it felt really good to be recognized. And like, it wasn't even something that we were going for. We were just having a good time, and people thought we were doing great. And that's what made it so meaningful. And then the worst memory was probably the Sunday of my first Potrero, where it started raining, and I had only prepared for a warm war. No one had told me to prepare any kind of like wet stuff. And
Why would you?
yeah, usually it doesn't happen. But we were huddled. We found a brazier in the dumpster, fished it out, started a fire under our
I
modern
remember that.
pavilion.
I remember that. We had that thing for years too.
So we started a fire and everything was wet. So we used 151.
I remember
The
that.
fire
Yeah.
started.
We put that on the table.
Yeah, and we put it on the table,
Yeah.
and we huddled around this fire for warmth while it's just pouring outside.
Oh God, what a.
And it was just the worst
I remember
time.
that.
And then we started drinking to stay warm, and it became a good time, but it was still the worst time.
That was pretty bad. I remember that.
Oh my goodness, man! I've got some. A lot of my Potrero wars have been pretty cold and moist, so I'm pretty used to that. But goodness, I totally
Yeah.
understand the feeling. All right, Sir Tiberius, that leaves you.
Oh man. Well, let's see here. Bad memory. Oh wait, good ones first. I could do both. Where at this with the same story, and that's always. But we don't need to cover that one. That's
Yeah.
Aw, I
that
like
is
that.
that is a funny good story though. Let's see here.
Well, now
Oh, nah, I don't gonna go that one. Let's see here. I think a really good one for me might have been when my parents go at the Potrero every year. And just started fighting because my mom loves the fighting. It's kind of funny, like the shields, like charging and hitting each other. That's like her favorite thing to always talk about. And I don't know if this is like this is probably my top 3 favorite moments, but like there was a time on the mixed field where I had the shield, I broke off from the unit, and I just destroyed like a whole shield wall of like 4 or 5 people. I think it might have been the Thunder unit. Remember when they had like the blue, and I just destroyed all of them, just like shoved them all down, and was just beating them as they were going down, not while they were on the ground, right? And then just doing all of that, and then got back with the unit, and I ended up dying to something, and then I got off the field, and then my grandma's right there. I didn't even know she'd come up, and she's in a wheelchair, and she goes, "That was amazing! I told the firefighters that were right there that you're my grandson, and you're doing that." And it's just like, "Oh, Granny, that's so good. I'm glad you like that." Yeah, that was really fun. Obviously, I got offered a Potrero too, so that's a pretty good memory as well.
yeah.
But I would have to say for my worst one was the night I got squired, and it wasn't because I got squired, but it was because I had finished fighting. I got squired at Tamiki. We're having a good time drinking. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, you know,
story now.
so we're having a good time, and we're doing all of that, and all of a sudden, Kjartan's like, "You got to go fight in the cross swords tournament of virtues or whatever that one."
Yeah, the torchlight tourney they had.
Torchlight tournament, right? And I'm like, "Yeah, man, like, no, like, I am not in a place to go do that." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna go do it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I put my armor on and I go over there, and the tournament was this mixed thing where you drew a number out, and that was who you'd fight, and then you drew a random weapons thing out. So random weapons torchlight tournament. And Kjartan had to bow out. He couldn't keep going due to whatever reasons were going on. And then I kept fighting and kept, I had to upkeep because if I let go, then it would have been bad. So I might have been doing whatever I was doing. And then when it finally finished, I think I ended up getting I didn't go to the finals, but I ended up going pretty far. I think I ended up my finals. The one of the final fights I was in was like a dual daggers tournament with Gamil and Duncan. I think I don't remember. And then I had to go back to camp, which was literally on the other side of the park. So I walked all the way back to camp after fighting all day and then fighting at this thing. And everyone's there on the fire, and I'm like, "Oh, guys, so good to see you." Like, "Oh, Tiberius." I'm like, "Cool. I'm gonna get out of this, go take a shower. I'll be back, and let's drink." And everyone's like, "That sounds great."
Mm-hmm.
I never made it to my tent. I started taking off my armor in our rug area underneath the tree, which is like 10 feet from the fire, but I didn't even make it that far. And they found me later because I started coughing because my face had moved off the rug into the dirt. And
It wasn't so much that we found you as like it had been an hour and all of us just went, "Hey, wasn't Ross taking a shower? Shouldn't he be back by now? The line shouldn't be that long."
We all kind of came to the conclusion that he had taken his shower, come back, poured himself a few beers, and had probably gone off again.
Yeah, and then we all look over to where, like, we have like a fire pit and then a tree, and under the tree is normally where we sit during the day, so it's shady, and the fire is where we sit at night. And we go look over there, and that's also like where we're putting on armor, and we see what looks like a pile of armor just sitting there. And some of us are like, we should go help him put away his armor because like he's been fighting all day and that's awful. And as we're talking about that, Ross starts coughing and moving around, and a bunch of us just go, did he pass out in his armor? And get up to go help him.
Yeah, so they came and found me, and I was like face down, butt up, armor half off, pants down, just not in a good place. So yeah, that was, I mean, like, it's a memorable night. It's like your bachelor party, bachelorette party kind of status. But yeah, so good and bad, because it was like, this is rough. It wasn't like emotional or anything.
That's
like,
magical, though.
Yeah.
I also cannot imagine trying to fight while intoxicated.
Whoa. Who said
He was not intoxicated. He
No.
was maintaining what he was doing.
that?
Of course. There was,
Yeah.
I'm saying theoretically.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
It would definitely be very hard, though, and not recommended by anyone.
I can't, and I also like can't see, so when I have to be, if I had like a helmet on
And a torchlight tournament.
in the dark, no, bad news, all of that.
Then you're fighting like Cammy all the time.
Aw.
Rough.
All right,
Oh, the glasses. Got it.
Yeah, the glasses. Yeah. I'm not calling you blind.
here's a very completely different question. Each of you are trapped in an elevator. What do you do?
Well,
I know
mean-
the answer that they want us to give in this question.
Wait,
Oh.
so we're like
Is
in an
the answer-
elevator alone, or is
or
it
is
the
it,
three of us in an
it's all
elevator?
three of us in an elevator.
The answer is what our consorts write fan fiction about, and it's the first thing you do when you're trapped in an elevator is establish a pee corner.
It's very true.
Yes, the three of you are trapped in an elevator alone.
Wait, the three of us
Together.
are trapped
Three
in an
of us.
elevator.
Together, just the three of you.
Oh,
Do you,
well, I
do
give
you
you
want
all
the
a
fun
hug.
answer or the boring answer?
I mean, we're gonna
Obviously
open up.
the
We're gonna
fun-
open up the roof, right, and get out. Is that what we're doing?
Probably shove Parmenio through.
Yeah, I can fit through any of like the little cracks in the
Yeah,
walls and
you're
stuff.
You're gonna
I just
get
have to
through
turn
that.
sideways and I can just go through them.
Yeah, we'd pop that open. We'd lift you up and do that.
Yeah.
Is it falling, or are we just stuck in it?
Nope, you're just stuck.
Oh, we're just stuck in it. Oh, we'd hang out.
I can probably fit under the door too.
You could also try to pry a door open and see if we're at a place where you could roll
Yeah.
out.
Sorry, I thought it was like falling, and I'd be like, "How fast is it falling?" And thank God. Right.
Oh, smarts are my favorite. I was bad at physics though. So definitely just stuck. Lovely
Okay,
answers.
okay.
I would just call somebody with my phone.
Oh, so you didn't say we had phones?
Well, I didn't say anything.
I asked
just
if you
said-
wanted the real answer or the funny answer, and you did not say the real
So,
answer. The
the
real
funny
answer,
thing is-
we'd make a call on our phone and then just hang out and talk.
The true answer is P corner, though. So,
Yeah.
The peak.
That's-
Well,
That's the truth.
we are
got
in here with
tiger.
Alsander, so the moment that we realized we were stuck, he would bring up the peak corner. That is
Yeah.
actually true.
I was just
Yeah.
saying we had an entire Great West where my consort specifically was obsessed with the fact that I gave that as an answer to that question. And so we talked about it.
Probably why that question came up.
I mean, it came in from a winky face, so I
Probably.
Probably came in from-
I wouldn't be surprised. All right, back to serious time. This question is from Caspian Black. He asks,
P corner.
derailed. All right, he asks, do you have any advice for an over-the-hills fighter who is having a hard time getting over the last hump?
Have fun, dude. Have fun with it, because confidence will come from having fun. Especially for the people who've been fighting a long time, they know what to do roughly, right? And so I think it's hard to learn new tricks, but at the same time, we've seen people learn new tricks. I would say a fighter that's not in this circle right now, but who we've watched learn a new fighting style again and again would be Pelagon. Pelagon has relearned his fighting style 2 or 3 times, and he's like 50 plus. So, but I mean, like, he's in better shape than me, so I can't really talk about his shape and stuff. But like he's relearned all different fighting styles from the years that he's been fighting. But also, he's having fun while doing it and pushing himself to a new level. So that's what I would say.
You brought up the thing that I think is the most important. This is what I think is the reason a lot of people get stuck in fighting in general, is that they focus on the doing and not the learning. They want to grind their way to winning. Well, guess what? You can go to 2 practices a week for 30 years doing the same thing and never get better. And what you need to do is stop just trying to grind your way there and find someone to teach you and break you down and break you out of your comfort zone and teach you something new and force you to actually do the new thing, not just show you a new shot and maybe it'll show up. But like what Patrick did with Pelagon, changed his shield, changed the way he moved, changed his whole stance, rebuilt him from the ground up from a very good fighter to a knight. Like that's what needs to happen. It's not just do the same thing and get better. It's really empty that cup and really actually break yourself down and then work on actually training, not just practicing.
I had a moment a couple Great Wests ago where I got beat up all day on the war field. And it just reached a point where I was like, this isn't fun. I'm going to go do pickups. And I went and tried to do a couple pickups, and I got in a fight with a knight. It was completely crowded around us, so we're trying to fight in this like really enclosed space, and it's clear that this guy is way better than me. But as we're fighting, we finish, and I ask him for some advice, and the only thing he'll tell me is that I'm starting the fight too close to him, or just like basically treating me like I'm an entire beginner. And that kind of really hit me in a place where I was like, I don't know if I want to fight anymore. And it was like, I had been sitting there not having fun because I had a goal of being a knight at the time. And I was bashing my head over becoming a knight. And Sir Ranveer and I had a talk that war, because I was just we were just hanging out and I brought it up, and he told me something, which was, if you're fighting for the award, you're fighting for the wrong thing. The award may come, it may never come, but if you're only fighting for that, why are you doing it? This is a hobby, this is for fun. And so the biggest piece of advice I would give is make sure you're having fun. And the more fun you're having, the more relaxed you'll be. And when you're actually relaxed, you'll start building those skills and not hyper focusing on, does it look like you're better? What are people looking at me? And the way, when you fight and you can be relaxed and you can be doing well, those are the things that show true skill. So just have fun with it, relax, and keep at it, and you'll get there.
And to add to Hamilton, that guy that he was fighting is real good.
He is incredibly
like,
good.
So that guy was fighting,
Yeah.
like, he sits most people down. So, yeah.
I love that. I love hearing from peers across the board, not just knights, that right now a lot of the advice is have fun and enjoy yourself. And I think that in the before time, that was something that was said that I heard quite often, which was just have fun and enjoy yourself, and things will figure themselves out, because this is a hobby, because we are all here to have fun. But it's not like the fun aspect isn't talked about or wasn't talked about. So I love that now everything is, you can do all of these things. You can be a fighter. You can like doing service. You could do a whole lot of work, but have fun too. It's not, this isn't supposed to just be another job. And from my end, as someone who's super service oriented for a really long time, I did see this as a job. I was coming to events to work, and Brandon was going to fight, or Brienne was going to fight. He's going to go do his thing because he's having fun. That's what he loves. I'm going to work. So working on changing that aspect and not seeing it as, this is another job. This is a hobby. I just like to work because I'm a masochist, so whatever. But I love that.
Service
so
has
thank
its
you.
own things, but I hear you. Oh,
Oh,
Pressed the
you're
wrong
muted.
button. I did.
Yep.
I pressed the wrong button. It's all right. All right. So this is the next question. So I asked you gentlemen just before this recording to grab your chains. And I know that there are lots of different chains for some people. Some people don't have a lot of chains, whatever. They're jewelry, it's pretty. You guys are awesome. The question is, what are your favorite chains and what are the stories behind them?
See, that would have been a different question because I don't want to grab the other ones. But I'll go first. So I have a couple chains I really like. I guess the thing is, like, I like all my chains. They're all really cool. They all have a story. Someone has given them to me, and that's all been really cool. I've got one chain I got from Sir Brute right when I got knighted or offered, which was amazing. That was super cool. When I was knighted, I was gifted a magic chain from Duchess Bridget. So it's part of her magic chain gang, which is super cool. It's real heavy, so the weight of fealty is strong. I've got another chain that's from Mel, from Matea. We all have matching ones for those. I think for the bitter luck, I think where we kind of get to rock out at is we've got, I think, 4 matching chains.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, it's 4.
Nope. So we have these 3. We have another. I have
Oh,
another
5.
one that's matching, and then the
Oh,
fighting.
5. The fighting chains. So
It's
yeah,
5.
we have 5 matching chains. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are my unique ones for the Bridget and with Brute. But besides that, we all have, I think, 5 matching chains.
Yep.
So
It was showing all of them.
yeah.
All these ones.
All right. Alsander, what are you?
So I treasured all the matching chains that I have, those 5, and then like I typically wear one of those. This one is very special to me. My consort made it, so I like to wear it whenever I can, and just the impact that we've heard from the community for knights wearing them also is a big deal to me.
Especially on the day.
Anytime I see Giuseppe with one, he's just overjoyed, and it just knowing that by wearing something I can brighten people's days, like that is super special to me. But then probably one of my most special chains, this one, which is my lineage chain. Sir Grim, my knight, wore this fighting. He gave it to me. This is the chain I was knighted with. This is the chain I wear more often than not when I'm fighting. I call it my Goku chain because this is legitimately heavier than every single one of my other chains at the same time. And this one, it's super special. It's from Home Depot, but I love it. So.
Also used for hauling trailers, right?
Yeah, if our trailer ever comes disconnected on a long trip, we can just grab my chain and then keep going.
Multi-use tools.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way my lineage chain is the exact opposite. It's like super, super, super skinny. This is one of the chains I was knighted with. But let's see. One of my favorite chains is this one. This is my favorite chain. My wife gave it to me, Matea, and I wear it every time I fight in a tournament, no matter what. And it's great. And my other chain I wanted to bring up is this one that's currently broken. This chain was given to me by Pelagon when I was in my vigil, and he bought a couple of us chains because everyone he was fighting regularly at a practice with had been getting knighted, everyone he felt like he was coming up with. And this was his practice chain to me, where he wanted me to wear it every practice I attended until it was broken. And then I was free of wearing it from the practice. And there's 2 things I can do with it now. I can either put it back together and give it to another knight as a practice chain, or give it to someone being knighted as a practice chain and do the same thing to make sure that you don't fall off and just disappear and ditch your practice. Or what I'm kind of planning on doing with it is putting it back together, and then it becomes a chain that if I wear it while I'm fighting unbelts and they manage to break the chain off of me, hold on to it and give it to them at their vigil so that I can say, hey, you took this chain from me. I'm giving it back to you now. You earned this. Or maybe potentially, if they break it, just give it to them there if I think they're cool enough, and say, you're going to have the right to wear this one day. Hold on to it and fix it when you've been offered, and it's a chain for you.
Which is cool. I have one of those
Love
chains,
that.
but I already set mine on its way.
Journey. I love that. I think I was at the practice when that chain got broken. I think I was there.
When this one was broken?
When that one got broken. I think I was there, and I had never seen that sort of interaction before, and I love it. I love the like, oh, well, you bested me, so you hold on to this as like a symbol of like where you can be or whatever. Sir Oberon out of Western Seas does that. He fights with feathers in his helmet, and he is very good at making sure he retains his feathers in his helmet. He came out for a crown when Sigvalder and Jake were knighted or were offered, and Brienne hit one of his feathers out of his hat. He goes, oh man, I haven't had one of my feathers knocked out in like forever. And he keeps like a special one, an unbroken one in his kit. And so like now it's hanging up on my wall because he knocked it out of his hat. It's hilarious.
He's such a cool dude.
He's the best. But also like he fights with ostrich feathers in his helmet.
How do they get those in Hawaii?
I have no magic. I don't know. He's a chef. I'm sure.
Well, okay, the internet, of course, but like, I kind of wish there was an ostrich farm now that he goes to go pick up.
There might be.
That would be incredible.
That ostrich.
This is my fighting ostrich. I don't know. He's going to be on Ask the Knights in a couple weeks, so maybe you can send in. And that's my quick little like tagline for ATK. Leo and I and Brienne have started working together, so now it's a whole team of us. And their links are going to be at the bottom of this video somewhere where it's not blocking faces.
Describe it like. Describe it like.
Punch that bell.
Punch that bell. All right. Perfect. I feel like I heard Giuseppe somewhere in the last conversation, so that's going to lead me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
My next question is, tell me about the time you ran into Giles at Great Western War, and he decided Parmenio could get promoted from stick jock.
I'm pretty sure that was Giuseppe.
It was Giuseppe.
Yeah.
Was it Giuseppe? Oh, well, in the question, it was Giles.
That was.
I don't know. Maybe Giles was there too. I was very drunk.
I was not as drunk, and I'm pretty sure it was only Giuseppe. But
I believe it. I want to hear the story. I can't wait.
Alsander, you wanna start with this?
I mean, it was just we were hanging out with.
Like this is the question.
We were hanging out with Viscount Ulf at the West Camp, and we were just hanging out there, and Giuseppe shows up, everyone's talking, and it's been a long day, so we're sitting on chairs, and we kind of go off to the side, and I kept calling Parmenio by his mundane name, and Giuseppe was scolding me.
Bad peer.
Well, sorry. And then, but while he was scolding me, he was calling me Hammy, and I had to point out where my nickname comes from and how it's from my mundane last name.
He hated that so
and
much.
He got so upset over that.
Oh, it was great.
And then Parmenio just started like dropping facts about ancient Greece and whatnot.
Well, it's because somebody had like mentioned like it's because during that whole thing he was like, well, you need a nickname based on your persona, and you like shot it to me with something like, well, Parmenio knows all about his persona. And
maybe
it was something like that.
Yeah.
And then he turned to me and he was like, oh, you actually have a developed persona? And he was very much expecting me to not have a developed persona, but I do. And then I just ranted to him for a while about Boeotian Greek cultures and,
and then
all kinds of stuff. And
started Geek Night.
Yes, the diaspora of some of the culture. cultures, but it turned into him being like, oh yes, and then asking more and more deep questions about like cultures at the time. And I'm wearing black and I'm a Greek, and that's a whole thing. And I just went through it all, explaining it to him, and he seemed like he was actually pretty genuinely impressed with how much I knew about cultures at the time. And he was like, you know what? I think you're not a stick jock to me anymore. And it made my night. I was so very happy.
It was kind of like a mini AP history test.
It was pretty impressive,
Kind
though.
of was.
I mean, because I love when you geek out, John, about Greek stuff and all your college things you've learned. It is always neat. I always feel like I know nothing, so it's kind of always cool to watch you go off on stuff. But that was just great because he was so like illuminated with just he was like, go on. Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh, look at John. He's getting interviewed like he's at pentathlon. I love this.
I'm hoping to enter the next pentathlon, actually.
Really? What are you going to enter?
It's probably going to try to do a complete recreation of like complete full garb of a Macedonian from the tomb of Agios Athanasios.
He was one of the bad guys in
pronounce
Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah. There's big old frescoes that they've, I guess it was probably like 15, 20 years ago that they found them, that are like big, full-sized. You can see all the garb really well. You can see everything. So I'm thinking something along those lines.
That's super exciting. And this whole everything and me asking questions about your art leads me into my one question that is, I only got, of all the questions I got, only one of them is specifically for somebody, and it's for Parmenio.
Oh. Tell us, Lord Bagmar. What is the answer?
The strangest historical fact that you know.
This is one you need to ask me like in advance so I can go look stuff up.
Well, that's the fun part. It's what's locked in your memory.
Tell us about vases, John. Tell us about your.
I don't know. There's all kinds of.
Where does your armor?
For some reason, my mind's blanking. I really like a bunch of the things about. Oh, I'm not. I mean, I do like the amphoras that are definitely featuring Zeus and Ganymede, but that's all I'm going to say on those. I don't know. I really like how much like bright pink is actually like super historical for like Greek armor. Like there's linothoraxes or whatever you want to call them, that type of armor, spolas, that are in that same tomb that I was just talking about, where there's just a dude in the background with like pink with like kind of magenta edging on it. And I'm like, why are we all so boring all the time wearing all this white? It's all these like crazy bright colors and stuff in the background. That always makes me happy. I don't know.
Probably that same reason you rant about all the time, where they took all the paint off all the marble statues.
Yeah. That really frustrates me.
When he gets drunk, if you mention anything like that, he'll just rant about it for a while.
Yeah, anything about people destroying ancient history just because it doesn't fit what they want it to be really frustrates me.
I feel like that's a valid sentence that you just said there, Mr. Parmenio.
Yeah, I have strong opinions, especially when I'm drunk and you get me talking about history.
All right, well, check on my list to do that later when we can all be together again. And then zooming into the next question. Okay. This next question is 2 parts. First question, who is your favorite superhero?
Hammy, go first.
That's, it used to be a lot of different things. In fact, my device is actually Batman and the Green Lantern in heraldry. But I'd have to say my favorite superhero is probably the Green Arrow.
Let's go Parmenio.
So I'm not super into superheroes. So I'm going to go and take this question a little bit sideways and not go with like Marvel and any of that stuff.
That's
But
tough.
I'm gonna go like, man, I just finished watching She-Ra,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna consider Catra to be a superhero, and I'm gonna say she's the best.
I would back that up.
I knew she would be my favorite character the whole time.
I mean,
She's pretty
hero,
much the best.
hero-ish, yeah, maybe, but
Villain, but
Villain,
also,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, Scorpia is a hero, and she's great.
Scorpio is the best.
Scorpion's amazing.
Oh my goodness! I just finished watching Kipo and the Wonder Beasts
Yes,
last
that
night.
was
finally.
So good.
And so good. That was last night. Me superhero. See, I wore a Green Lantern ring all of high school, but then also Aquaman's pretty badass. So, I'm in this weird boat of like, is it Superman or is it Aquaman? It's definitely DC, even though I love Marvel stuff, which is rough. But I think the DC heroes are much more in that like upper echelon of hero.
Totally agree.
Right? Like I could talk Marvel stuff all day. I was in a thing today. We're talking about Spider-Man forever, and I'm like, Spider-Man's awesome, but like, also Spider-Man does like he's great, but then there's like Superman, and he's like the superhero, you know. So I'm probably gonna go with Aquaman, but I would have to say the Green Lantern and Superman are on that same kind of awesomeness. So.
All right. So we have Catra, right?
Yep.
We have Aquaman. And Hammy, I forgot yours because I'm tired.
The Green Arrow.
The Green Arrow. There we go. Who wins?
Catra.
Yeah.
Hey, easy.
That's not even a debate.
Green
Catra.
Arrow's a dude with a bow and arrow. Like,
Yeah.
he could throw some trick arrows at her, but like Catra's not gonna.
She's used to that. That happens all the time to her.
Yeah, Catra's gonna like, we're gonna bring in the Horde. The Horde's gonna take over Atlantis, and that's gonna be it. And then, you know, Prime shows up and he's like, I will control all of Earth. And Arthur will try to fight it off, but he just can't. And then he's gonna bitch out, and then it's gonna take like 5 episodes and like find his strength, and then they're gonna maybe make it happen, but who knows?
And if you just take Aquaman out of the water and he's not submerged within 24 hours, he
Dehydrates.
Because that's his weakness.
And then it's like beef jerky, man. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was beautiful. Perfect. I agree. Catra would definitely win. All right.
She would. And looks so good in a suit while doing it.
Oh, absolutely. To die for.
Time to go to prom.
All right. So 2 more serious questions. Ready? How has the game, the SEA game, become different now that you are all knights compared to what it was like before? Who wants to start?
I can go first.
All right.
More people know who I am now. I used to have a way different name for most people knew me by. And I think the time Kuma yelled it at me was my favorite, and that was not Ross. So we would show up at parties, and they'd be like, Ross is here, and not Ross.
I tried forever, Hammy. You know,
okay,
I
man.
did.
No, it's okay. They know me now, which is fine. But it's just, it was either not Ross or Hammy. I didn't think anyone knew what my SCA name was, and now that I'm a knight, people do know that. People beyond just fighters know who I am, and a lot more people will talk to me now, just like pick up a conversation, because there were definitely times where I was hanging out with someone who was a peer already, and people wouldn't introduce themselves to me. They just talk to the peer and then move on. So that was a bit of a shock, where I was like, oh, people actually know who I am. That's new.
I mean, I guess I can take this somewhere a little more serious and kind of weird, which is one of the first things I noticed. Literally, the difference between the day before I was offered, I was knighted the next day because my knight was in town and he had moved away. And so the day before, I had been doing some pickups after the war fighting, and I had fought another unbelt because we were waiting around and we had some really good passes, and he had a couple openings that I had really noticed, and I was like, hey, do you care for a little bit of advice? And he was like, no, I don't care. Like, I was just doing this to get warmed up so I could fight a knight who like actually, it would actually matter. And I said, well, oh, okay. And then I was offered that night. I was knighted the next day, and then I walk out to the pickup field. Same unbelt runs up to me and says, "Oh, can you sign my book? We fought yesterday. Like, we fought more than 3 passes. Sign my book for me." And I'm like, "No, like, what? Why would I do that?" And he was like, "Well, I mean, we fought a bunch yesterday, and so I figured you'd sign my book." And I made him fight me again, and then I sat him down and I gave him advice. And one of those pieces of advice was, I'm the same person I was yesterday. Now I've got one of these and one of these, and I'm still the same person. You need to not just hunt advice for knights, but take something from every fight. And you need to not treat other people differently just because they're not peers. Like, don't be rude to someone because they're not a peer. And he didn't like that advice very much.
I appreciate that advice.
That's good advice. I think I'm going to take your question at its full words, and what has it been different now that all 3 of us are knights? And I love it, because when there was a couple years where it was like, we're all kind of like fighting each other on like who's going to be knighted first. And then once one of us got offered, then it was, oh my gosh, you guys have to catch up. And that put weird anxiety and anxiousness on all of us. And then once 2 of us have been offered and one of us hadn't, that was real bad. And it really created a really awkward environment, because we were all pushing really hard and all being active for what we could do, and all, going to what we can. And we were all been raised the same way, fighting Fred with Pell and Brigade and going to wars. We all tried to go as much as we could. We couldn't make everything sometimes because of life stuff, but it was like a 2-year period where it got really broy, and it got really like it was fun and fine, and the joshing was cool. But there was times when like when we knew it was haha funny, there was an underlying like, this fucking sucks. Like, I wish we were all just here already, because we know we're there, but now we got to play this peer game and do this stuff and do these things. And it's interesting because like it was fun because we were all like, oh my gosh, what if we all got offered at the same time? We could do this whole thing and do all this stuff. But that didn't happen, obviously. And it made things weird, especially in the order that it happened, but I think the way that we came, everybody has their own path. But now we're all here, and I love that we kind of get to be treated as like the 3 Bitterluck Knights, because like we each bring like a different side to this Hydra when we're on the field, when we're in person, when we're at a party, and we're doing the thing. And it's cool that we get to all have different perspectives and advice on things, even though we all relatively come from the same body.
Yeah, I like that too. I also like the intimidation factor on the field when the difference between 3 unbelts walking at your unit and 3 knights walking at your unit was immediately palpable.
Oh, so
like,
good. I miss fighting so much right now, man.
The day of my vigil, I think it was the day of my vigil, maybe it was the day before, it was just the 3 of us from our unit fighting at Potrero, and Droffen happened to not have any of their shield wall except Pelagon show up. So since we're just 3 shields and they had 1 shield and a bunch of pole weapons, they asked us to just jump in and be their shield wall. And since we all practice together at Brigade all the time, totally easy for us. We know their commands. We can follow in. It was funny because when we actually looked at who was around us, it was an entire unit of knights. There was like 7 Droffen knights, and then the 3 of us. And like I hadn't been elevated yet, but I had been offered. So it's just this whole unit of like 10 knights rolling around, And it was really funny to have, there were a couple scenarios where people would just come crashing into us and no one would die. Like we'd just be standing there afterwards and we'd just like, oh, they're gone now. Okay. And then that happened like 2 scenarios at the beginning of the day, and then people stopped charging us. Like they were lined up across from us, and then they would just like go sideways before they hit someone so they wouldn't have to hit us. And it was one of the most fun days of fighting I've ever had.
I love Brigade, man. It's good stuff.
I love that. And I know Tiberius touched on this a little bit, but would you say that now that all 3 of you are peers, the SCA is more fun, or that it hasn't really changed?
I would say that the SCA has many levels of fun, and depending on your perspective and what you put in, gives you a different thing. I wouldn't say it's any better or worse. Like I look back on us, the day drinking, with literally having zero responsibility, with like high esteem. It's like,
Yeah.
those were amazing days. Our biggest problem was, what kind of table do we have to bring to war, and who's going to be doing kitchen duties? Like, that is way different than what I have to deal with now at wars. So where is the funness? I think being a peer definitely provides you access to different things that you didn't, but at the same time, like, you can't just be made a peer and expect that's going to happen. Like, some of the things that you get through being a peer is built by that built-in network, and by that community and relationships that you've built to push you in those situations anyway. And there are plenty of people that I would say have that same interaction and same experience, even though they aren't peers. So
Yeah. I've found that my fun has kind of done this weird change, where in the early days it was our camp, my close friends, drinking and having a good time all day. And now I'm like, man, I got to go like visit all these different camps and hang out with all my friends from all over the place. I know people all over the kingdom. I know people outside the kingdom. And part of what I have to do at every war is go find all those people and say hi and see how they're doing and talk to them. So my fun kind of went from this sort of insular within the group fun to this kind of go explore and find everybody else. And it's I just know so many more people now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can add anything to that. It's just the process of getting to being a peer gave me a huge network of people, and it's different, but mostly the same. Instead of us sitting in camp for most of the night, going to one other camp and then coming back to our camp, now it's we sit in our camp for the day, we have dinner, and then we can be out until the sun comes up because we just know that many people. And it's
that being said, we used to still go out until the sun came up anyway, but that was because we knew we didn't have to get up for fighting the next morning.
Exactly. I do sleep at war more now that I have to like I want to get up and do fighting.
Yeah. So I would say it's just different experiences. So really, like, I look back on some of those things, like Squires Assemble. We used to do that in like the old pirate camps and stuff like that, right? And then Parmenio's belt always has the belt buckle on it, sort of the bottle opener, so that we could do that, right? Like, if we run around and do stuff in Pirate Land and be all like, "What's going on?" Right? Yeah, right. Like, so like it's just different. It's just different, but like not like it's like on a level of that. It's just different things.
It's a scale of different. It's not a scale of bad or good, or worse, or better or worse, or any of that. And as one of those non-peer people, I have a solid network. Mine comes from 25 years of doing this, and I am like so not shy. It is almost a fault. I will inject myself into conversations with people that I don't know because I'm bored, and that's how social butterflies exist. I am all about the flitting from place to place. But I think that it'll be interesting if I'm ever given an honor of being a peer of any kind, how I will answer that question, because it's been a whole process from me growing up literally as a child to growing up as an adult, going from coming back in at 17 being like, oh, I'm a graduated adult, whole ass adult now, like that, and growing into somebody who is in their spare time during quarantine talking to my friends in the SEA to help bring light and positivity to other people in the SEA because we can't see each other right now. So I'm very interested to see how that progression, like how that sliding scale becomes different. And I hope it doesn't. I hope that people continue to just see me as me and aren't like, oh, well, now she's this or that based off of whatever title I have. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans.
In a social club.
In a social club. We're all stuck in quarantine right now. We're all a little bit crazy in our own special ways. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter if you have a peerage, if you do not have a peerage, if you are a fighter or an artist or a whatever, we're all people and we're all have this hobby together. And I love that we can still share it in some sort of way.
Yeah, I'm going to have a 0.5 peerage for a long time.
A little. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Are you ready for the last question?
The last question.
The last question. It's very serious. So I'm going to go ahead and say my little wrap up stuff really beforehand so that we're not hindered in our very serious last question. So you guys are going to be my very first Wednesday episode. I'm very excited. So this is airing. The people are seeing this for the first time on June 3rd. And then next Wednesday, June 10th, His Majesty Bela of the Outlands is going to join me. And I hope that you guys send me in questions. And I'm super excited to see how the King of the Outlands is doing in quarantine in these times of plague. So very serious question time from Matea. So are you ready?
No.
Not at all.
What are the top 5 taco shops in San Diego?
Oh man, well the best one closed down. It was Sun Tacos. That was like the best place ever. And then now and then there was Buenos Dias for a long time, and that ended up closing down too. So
There's a one called Rigoberto's over by Grossmont Center. 50% of the time, they are the best taco shop in San Diego.
That's like a real Sex Panther thing though,
worst.
because 50%. But that gamble, it's too strong.
Yeah, the gamble is, well, first off, you only go there if it's after midnight. Second off, they have 2 shifts. They have a shift of guys and a shift of girls. The women's shift is incredible. They make the best food. It is so good. The other shift, they literally are smoking a bong at like in their parking lot where you have to drive through to go to the drive-through. You stop in front of it and they'll just look at you, smoke a little more, and then one of them will eventually set it down and walk in and just be like, what do you want? And you will get whatever they scraped off the grill there.
Yeah, I never enjoyed eating there, John.
It's 50-50. When it's good, it is incredible.
It's why now I eat at the Cotijas off of Bishop Gorge in Santee. And that place is fantastic. Also, I love that I can just walk up there now and be like, hello. And they're like, oh, hey, Ross, the usual? And I'm like, yes, I'll have the usual. And it's done. It's great. I can even call on the phone and be like, hey, Ross. And I'm like, I love this place. It's so good. So
I only have 2 places in San Diego that I feel are worth talking about. One is on 30th Street in North Park. It's called Saguaros. I lived there in high school. That place was amazing. And every time we do one of the Iron Brigade pub crawls that ends down off 30th Street somewhere in North Park, I go back there as I am stumbling back to my car to help me sober up along the way. And the other place is on Convoy in Linda Vista, and it's called Super Sergio's. And when I was living in Linda Vista, I'd go there all the time. That place is amazing. Every single thing I've had off their menu has been great.
I remembered one more. Cafe 94 at Potrero.
Yes, that place is...
Yeah, they are so good. When you're at Potrero and you need a burrito, there's a place that has burritos.
And it really is probably the most delicious burrito I've ever put in my mouth at a Potrero War. And I can confirm that. It's just magical.
It definitely is the best burrito at Potrero War.
Their chorizo burritos are real good.
No, they're real good. They are fantastic. But like we're at war. So like a burrito at war is always going to be good.
Yeah.
You have a solid point. Burritos at war are the best. Tacos are magical. I love that this is the question that we get to end on. Thank
That's
you
the right
so much.
question.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having us on, Rosie. So
Yeah,
fun.
thank you.
Excited that you guys all got to be here. You guys are my first Wednesday episode. Super stoked about that. And I think that's it. Thank you guys again. It really means a lot. I'm going to go ahead and have to call out Ross really quick. You were requested 6 times. I had 6 different people send me emails or messages to request you. And so to all those people who requested Sir Tiberius Finn.
Well, I'm glad we could be on this and have the Bitter Luck Nights on there too.
I love that I got to have all of you guys come on together. I think it was perfect. You guys talked about some wonderfully unique things, like all 3 of you going from beginning of SEA to becoming peers. I love that that is a conversation that we get to have. And I'm really grateful that you guys are willing to share this with all the people who watch my show. So thank you so much. And again, I'm going to go ahead and shout out Ask the Knights down here.
Subscribe.
Logan out of the West in Unveiled has put this together and is working so hard with Sir Helga and Brienne and Mistress Tulia to make sure everything is working up and going super great. And I love it that we all can participate in that too. So thank you guys again for coming, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you.